Good evening, campaigners. Welcome back, and welcome to a behind-the-scenes look to our Warhammer 40K campaign here at the Nexus Game Lounge. A lot of folks have reached out to me asking for some more information on how our action processing works, how initiative works, etc. And I thought, why don't I just show you guys how I do it? So we're going to take a quick walk through how I process everybody's campaign actions. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of different steps. So I'm just going to walk you through it. So every week I get a big list of campaign actions that looks something like this. And so you'll see they're time-stamped here on the left. This timestamp is recorded by Google when you put your actions in, and it lets me know what time everybody submitted everything, which comes into, there's some benefits to that here in a little bit. So I just have a big list of everybody's actions, all timestamps like that. So the first thing that we do is we code all of the actions. Over here, you'll see the column that says type, and those are either coded as a special ability, a non-attack action, or an attack action. We process each one of these categories differently, so I need to know which type of category each action falls into. So once we've done that, the first thing we're going to do is take a look at special actions, because they always fire first. So we look at special actions. So here I'm using turn 6 as an example. We had 3 special actions that were submitted. The reason we do this first is because some special actions affect initiative, which will then affect all the actions that come after it. So here in turn 6, we had 2 special actions that gave teams Misunderstood and Gate and Key. You can see both got a bonus of +5 to their initiative. So so we've got that. The next thing is we give a bonus to initiative based on how quickly you turn in your actions. So the very first team to turn in all of their actions gets a bonus to initiative of +3. The second team to submit all of their actions gets a +2, and every team that submits their actions by 2 p.m. on Friday, whereas the deadline is 5 p.m., but if you get them in by 2 p.m., you get a bonus of +1. So this here in turn 6, Misunderstood, they got all of their actions in first, as you can tell by the timestamps. So they get a +3 bonus. Imperial Sanitation Service, they only had the 1 action, but they got it in second, so they get a +2 bonus to their initiative. And then lastly, Hash Brown Winning, as well as all the other teams, got their actions in before 2 p.m., so they get a +1 bonus. So once we've figured out all of these initiative bonuses, then we have to apply them to our initiative process. So let's take a look at that. So this is what the initiative list looks like, and sometimes you can see this on the Coalition page. Sometimes I have it out. Sometimes when I'm working the processes in the background, I'll have that page hidden. But first thing we do is we take your comms score. Now, every faction has a default comms, and then you get a bonus to your comms for each region you control. Every region has a little satellite dish, that's its comms rating, and that just straight gets added to this column. So once we know your comms rating, then every team rolls 2d6. So we have the computer roll for us, and it automatically determines a number between 2 and 12. And actually what it does is it determines 2 numbers between 1 and 6 and adds them together, so it simulates a dice roll. So as you can see here in turn 6, nobody rolled really great. The entire spread is between 5 and 9, so it's pretty even there, but those are the rolls. And then, of course, we have our bonuses. So the bonuses are like we described just in the last slide there. You can see where those come from, but just as a quick refresher, the Misunderstood got +3 for being the first team to submit all of their actions. They also got +5 for their special ability. Their Chaos ability randomly gave them a +5 bonus. Gate and Key got a +1 for their submission bonus for getting it in before 2 p.m., but they also got +5 for using their Tau's special ability in order to give them a bump. Steel Chair, Orcapalooza, Hash Brown Winning, they all got theirs in before 2 o'clock, so they got a bonus. Imperial Sanitation, remember they were a second to get their actions in, so they got a +2 bonus. And then Stench of Chaos and Emperor's Hand also got a +1 bonus. So that's how that bonus comes from. Once all the bonuses have been determined and added to the list there, is all automatically adds together and gets your total. So here you can see the initiative totals range from 35 all the way down to 11, and that is what we use to determine the order of certain actions. Which actions do you ask? Well, let's take a look here. So once we have all of your actions, the next thing we do is we add your initiative to all of the actions, so I know what initiative to associate them with. So now we know what category they fall into and what initiative they're going to fire at. So the next thing we want to do is we want to identify all of your non-attack actions, and then within those, the occupy action uses initiative. So here in this turn 6 we have, looks like 5 occupy actions. You can see them there. So those fire purely based on initiative currently. So the first occupy action is for C5. You can see that under the notes as occupy C5. Since they're the first ones, they win. They get there first. It is now occupied by them. So the next occupy action to fire, also at the same initiative, is for C1. So they also get that one. So now we go down to the next occupy action, which fires at initiative 25. That is also for C1. So now that gets converted to an invasion per our rules. And we have a tie here. Both Hash Brown Winning and Orcapalooza got a tie at 25 for initiative. According to the rules, initiative ties are broken first by total campaign points. If there's still a tie, then it's broken by comms score. And then if there's still a tie, it's broken by a coin toss. So Hash Brown Winning will invade get C1 first if they want to. Remember, occupy invasions can be declined if you don't want to do it that way. Orcapalooza will invade whoever wins between them. And then down here, lastly, at initiative 15, we have the Imperial Sanitation Service doing an occupy action on C5, which was previously occupied by Gate and Key, so that will also become an invasion action. So 2 of those occupies fire, the rest of them are all converted to invasions. All right, so yeah, and then here's the invasions. Okay, so we've now processed all of your non-attack actions. So we've gone in and we've added the defense bonuses where they need, or added your garrison buffs. We've started the process of improving territories. And we've gone through all the non-attack actions. So then we take all of the attack actions and we put them in a list. They're all in initiative order. Well, no, sorry, they're all in timestamp order, right? Because we haven't changed that yet. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to identify any infiltrations. Now, in turn 6, there weren't actually any infiltrations, so I just put one in here. This is a fictional one, but it's just for us to take a look at. So here we see we have one infiltration action. Now remember, every team gets their first infiltration action, gets bumped to the top of the list, and it gets to go before all the other attack actions. So what we do is over here in the second column where we normally see a timestamp, I change that to a 0, and that represents that it fires in round 0, which signifies that it goes before the other attacks. And then once we know what round it's going to fire in, we assign it a battle number based on initiative. Since this is the highest initiative because it's the only one, it gets the battle number 601. 6 because it's turn 6, 01 because it's the first attack action. All right, so then we do the same thing, but the next thing up is the occupy invasions. Since those technically go off during the non-attack action portion of action processing, they are the next thing that we process. So same thing here. We assign them all a round number. Since they're going after the infiltrations, they become round 1. And then it's done by initiative. And remember, Hash Brown Winning won the tie on initiative with Orcapalooza. So their invasion goes first, followed by Orcapalooza's, and then by Imperial Sanitation Service. So those are now numbered 602, 03, and 04 respectively. So they're round 1, battle number 602, 3, and 4. Okay. So next thing we'll do is assign all of the other attacks a round number. That helps us make sure that every team gets one attack action that's prioritized each round. So we go through each team and we assign them a round number based on how they submitted their actions. So the next attack action that is submitted would fall under round 2. So for Misunderstood, based on timestamps, that's their round 2 action. The next one is given a number 3, and the next one is given a number 4. And we continue doing that all the way down through all of the teams until everyone has a round number. Then the next thing we do is sort all of the attack actions by round number. And then by descending initiative, we assign them a battle number. So you can see here as we move on to round 2, that the highest initiative gets the next number in the sequence, which is 605, followed by 606, 607, 608, 609, and 610 and 11. And we do that until we get to the end of round 2. So now all the attack actions for round 2 have been assigned, and then we move on to round 3. So that's round 2. Again, by descending initiative, round 3, round 4, etc. So that's kind of how we give everything a battle number. Once we have given everything a battle number, we know what order the attack actions have to go in. So the first one would be round 0, then round 1, then round 2, all the way down through, in this case, round 8, because the orcs had to throw a bunch of raids on there. Okay, so that's the order or the sequence of all the battles. Now the next thing we have to do is determine defense limits. And remember, we only force a team to fight 3 times in defense. They can launch as many attacks as they want to, but they're only required to defend themselves 3 times each turn. So we have to figure out how many times everyone's been attacked. So we use a special formula in our database here that counts the number of times that somebody has to defend themselves, and if it's over 3, then we have to start labeling some of the attacks as fails due to defense limit. So in this case, Gate and Key, you can see they've got 10 times that they've been listed as defender. So the first 3 will fire, right? They only have to defend themselves 3 times. So the 3 that are in green, those will automatically fire, whereas the rest of them will not. So Gate and Key has a lot of territories right now, and a lot of people are attacking them, so that's going to happen. But you know, we only make somebody commit to so many games of Warhammer in a single week. So then, now we do have an interesting thing here where one of the battles that Gate and Key is labeled for is a contingent battle, right? Because there's a Hash Brown Winning is invading Gate and Key, and then Orcapalooza is invading after that. So if Hash Brown Winning wins in that first fight, then Gate and Key won't be the defender on the next fight, in which case the next battle in sequence would become open. And so that would be, well, like I said, I didn't mark it on here, but that would be the 4th one down. So that would be Steel Chair's invasion on F3. So there we see, we'll go to Hash Brown Winning. They had 4 different times that they were listed. So the first 3 will fire, and then the next one won't. They also have a contingent battle based on the one before. So if they win that first fight, then they'll be forced to defend themselves against Orcapalooza, which would basically bump up, and they would one of the other later attack actions would then be knocked off the schedule, and that would be this one right here. So I know it seems a little complicated, but it's not that bad when you're going through it all. But sometimes those contingent battles can make the schedule fluctuate a little bit. Either way, if you have more than 3 defenses on the list, just be prepared to defend yourself 3 times. The nature of the invasion or defense may change if there are contingent battles involved. All right, so Emperor's Hand, they just have, Imperial Sanitation Service as a defender just has 1, so that one's going to fire. Misunderstood just has the 3, so all 3 of those will fire. Orcapalooza, same thing, defending 3 times. Steel Chair, now they've got 4, so 3 will fire, 1 won't. Stench of Chaos, same thing, 4, so 3 won't fire and 1 won't. So that kind of gives you an idea of how we do that. So once that happens, we make notes of defense limit or whether or not it's a contingent battle and what those contingencies are. So that you kind of see how that looks like on the full list. And then after that, we just filter all of those out, or we just ignore those failed battles, and then we use what's left to build the schedule. And so that gives us a schedule like this that just has the battles that are going through or the contingent battles that are also listed on there. So hopefully that gives you some idea on how the actions are prioritized and executed. Um, if you're looking at it for the first time, it might be a little bit confusing, but that should give you the basic framework. If you have any questions about how that works, or if you are following along in future turns and you see that something was done out of order or improperly or incorrectly, just let me know. I go through a lot of this stuff, and I occasionally mess things up. So be sure to let me know if I've gooped something up for you. But anyway, so there's that. I just wanted to show that to y'all, and hopefully that answers most of your questions. So thanks for tuning in for this quick little behind the scenes peek at how we process the campaign, and we'll see you out there on the battlefield.